On the matter of the media, there was an article that I read. Actually, it wasn't an article, it was an opinion piece, not bad piece. Going on 2 months ago now, I guess, that I was planning to do a video about, touching on that very subject. It was placed in a city very dear and near to me, Baltimore, but that wasn't the main point. And if I can still find it, I'll put a link to it up here. Rather than trying to recall and discuss the article in detail, I just want to make some personal footnotes to it, on the assumption that I will find the link and it will be there and you can read it, and I have done so. We have come to really value freedom of the press in the United States and throughout the West, I suppose. But what is more important, a free press, or by which I mean an unbridled and uncontrolled press, or a press that has access to the truth and can afford the infrastructure necessary to access to the truth and make it available to the rest of us? We're reaching the point where the two may be incompatible. Particularly with our newspaper industry, because our newspapers, as you can see in this article, are in really dire straits as far as just providing us with the news, because it takes people and infrastructure and money to get the news and to be accurate. So what's more important? Accuracy? Completeness? Or simply being unbridled, as we find amongst bloggers, for example, on the internet? You know, bloggers can access what they can access, and they can opine what they opine, and there's no restraint on them. But there's also no obligation on their part to be truthful, to be honest, to be balanced. So I'm beginning to come to the conclusion that rather than have the journalistic infrastructure that's been built up in the past century, and it has been mostly in the past century, what we consider a free press is really a fairly recent development. Rather than have that disintegrate and disappear forever, perhaps we should look into the possibility of government funding, which will raise a lot of people's hackles. But with proper safeguards, there may be no other good way to go about maintaining balanced, accurate reporting. Because the profit motive, of course, for a while worked and supported this journalistic infrastructure that I'm speaking of, but with the advent of the internet, this is no longer proving to be true. And as this person points out in this article, bloggers cannot replace it. So that's something that really, really is important, I think, for our future. Because is freedom of the press fundamentally the absence of restraint and the absence of obligation? Or is it something else? Is it the absence of bias and the absence of... I don't want to leave it at just bias because that has a connotation that I don't like. I did not mean it in terms of political bias. I meant it in terms of the financial incentive for producing news reports for our consumption, and the content of those reports as indirectly editorially determined by the need to finance them. Anyway, I don't have the final answer, I just have questions about it. Something that people need to discuss. Perhaps at this point, people just need to be aware that they need to discuss it.